Thanks for joining. Today's host is our DevOps advisor, Ruben. Hi, Ruben. He's been working in the software engineering and DevOps fields for the past 20 years. And he's been working side by side with people from some of the industry leaders, companies that are industry leaders, such as GitLab, New Relic, and of course, Opsera. So today, Ruben's going to show you why more and more companies are deciding to go on a DevOps platform. And then in the end, we'll have a short Q&A session where you can ask if you have ask whatever questions you might have. So I hope you're gonna enjoy this webinar, and Ruben, take it away.
Thanks, Manja, and thanks everyone for joining. I really appreciate you taking the time today. As Manja said, I've been in the software industry for quite a number of years, but over the last 6 years, been specifically in the DevOps space, working with companies like GitLab, New Relic, and so on. During this time, I've been actually engaging with a lot of, hundreds of customers on their DevOps journey. And a lot of them were in different stages of that. And so what I want to share today is, those experiences and those conversations I've had with those companies and, see how that resonates with you as well. And so during this time, when we've been engaging with all of these companies, what we find is regardless of the industry they're in, almost every one of those companies regards themselves as a software company first. And with that, almost all of them are also going through some sort of digital transformation. And one of the, really weird stats we saw from analysts was that 92% of these companies say that their digital transformation efforts are not going the way they expected. And so we'll explore why that is the case. And DevOps is obviously a big part of this transformation initiative. And so what we'll talk about today is some of the challenges and why we are seeing this with DevOps, and then also how we are evolving. So if we look at some of the challenges these teams are facing today, right? So one of the big things is there's too many tools in the ecosystem. And that's for many reasons, because DevOps is such a complex process, right? Another thing we find is that there's not much collaboration between teams, because you have your dev teams, you have security teams, your ops teams, and so on. And so all of them working with their own set of tools, their own environments. And so we don't see that collaboration between these team members. Another big thing is, developer satisfaction is really low. And this is a large part to do with the number of tools they are using and the constant context switching between those tools. And so, and in relation to that, what we also find is that it's very hard to onboard new team members because they have to learn new tools and processes as well. Another big challenge is, not having enough visibility across the DevOps ecosystem, right? And so there's, DevOps involves a number of stages, as I said, and it's also very complex. And so having that end-to-end visibility, if your teams are working in silos and so on, is a big problem. And we also find now is security, which is a big concern for many organizations. Security is an afterthought, right? It's done late in the software lifecycle. And there's a number of reasons for this, right? So the security team runs scans, when things are going to be going out into production. And so, if they find any problems, to remediate those problems, it has to come back all the way to the development team, which takes up a lot of time and resources. And then, a lot of, time and effort is wasted on that as well. So how do we improve some of these things? And so if we look at the DevOps, ecosystem, right, it comprises of over 10 stages. And each of these stages has a number of best of breed tools to help with that. And so if you look at, a large organization, they have, developers using about 20 plus tools for each of these projects. And the, surprising stat that we saw is almost 12.8 billion is being spent on DevOps software. And even with all of that spend, companies are still having a lot of challenges. So why is that the case, right? So how can we solve for that? And so DevOps has been around for about 12 plus years, and it's been evolving. And so if we look at the early stages of DevOps, it started off with, what we call bring your own DevOps, where individual teams were working with DevOps tools, but within the organization, each team had their own set of tools. And this became a big problem for large enterprises, right? So we had to support all of these different tools. And so, by doing that, it's really costly and very inefficient for organizations. So companies decided to standardize on tool chains. And so that evolved to a best-in-class DevOps, where you had a set of tools and, everyone had to use those tools, but then teams were still, doing their own processes and guidelines and so on for those. So that wasn't very efficient either. And so what we then evolved to is a DIY DevOps, which is where organizations basically said, hey, we're going to create a DevOps team that's going to be responsible for all of the tools and processes. And so that's what happened, right? So you had a DevOps team that defined the tools and processes, which was a huge improvement. But the problem with this is that you had a few individuals that were now responsible for DevOps. And so if those people left the organization, you had to retrain people and having to understand the processes and so on was not very easy. And then you also had the added problem of end-to-end visibility, right? So even though you had a team that had all of these integrations, for them to have the visibility across all of those tools, they had to write their own software. So now you were creating a new application that you had to maintain as well. And so that's not very efficient also. And so what we have gotten to now is we've evolved to DevOps platforms. And according to Gartner, 1 in 2 organizations will be making the switch to DevOps platforms. And so why is this a big thing, right? So the DevOps platforms basically give you a way of better collaboration between your teams because everyone's working within a single environment. You may be using different tools, but the fact that you're working in a single environment where all of those tools comes together is a big improvement. Another thing that we find is that it's making developers' lives easier, right? So they don't have to switch between tools, and so it enables them to be able to be more effective and efficient. We are also empowering developers to be able to respond to things quicker, right? So if they're working in a platform, they run their pipelines, anything that happens, they are able to see feedback immediately, whether it's in QA or in security and so on. If the developer has access to everything that's going on, he's able to take action in a very quick way as well. And then also a big thing is, the whole shift left initiative, right? So everyone's talking about shift left, having to do security and so on sooner. So being in a platform, you're able to do more of that as well. Because as I said, when you enable developers, they are able to, identify security issues early on as well and be able to solve for that. So that's a big thing, an improvement with the platform also. And then one of the big things that we find when we speak to organizations is that end-to-end visibility that that they have a problem with, but which the platform solves, right? Because as I said, you have a single platform where you have all of these different teams working. And if they are able to come, a central point, be able to identify metrics and issues and so on, and all of those key insights and so on, it's super valuable to them. And then what this also allows companies to do, right? So being having a platform, companies that can focus on their core business rather than actually worrying about DevOps practices and processes. So what does a DevOps platform look like, right? So if we look at, this is an example of, of the Opsera platform, but this could apply to any other DevOps platform out there as well. You have all of these different stages. And so being able to pull all of these tools into a central, tool set or a platform is incredibly valuable. And so you can see there's a number of different stages in DevOps, and each of these stages has all of these different tools. But being able to have all of that centrally managed is, makes it efficient and also just improves the whole process in terms of collaboration, visibility, and all those kind of things. It also allows you to start refining your processes, right? So you can start doing things like approval gates and governance and all of that kind of stuff, where you can start to drive all of that inside of the platform instead of having individual teams and individuals actually responsible for those, right? And so all of those people that are responsible for those approvals and those governance and so on have that same visibility like everyone else within the organization. And within Opsera, we offer out-of-the-box integrations with about 80+ tools. And that is something that we are constantly improving on. And then if we don't have the integration, we have APIs that you can integrate with as well. And so, we've been talking about that end-to-end visibility, right? So unified insights is something that we offer, and we have about 150 plus KPIs that, for all stages of the life cycle that you can actually, use. And what this allows you to do is actually be more reactive to things, right? So if you know something is going wrong, you can react to it. And so having those insights from end to end is a huge improvement. And then one of the other things that we have is persona-based dashboards, and we actually are one of the few solutions that actually provide this. And we also have some patents pending for this particular feature as well. And so the persona-based dashboards is, you can get developer dashboards, you can get release management dashboards and executive level dashboards and so on. And so, metrics on their own is only good if it means something to that individual that's looking at it, right? And so if you can have metrics that are specific to an individual within an organization, it goes a long way to helping him improve things. And so if you look at, some of the visibility, the insights that we offer, right? So you can break it down by category. And so we have, what our insights are relevant to a developer, for example, right? And so we have things like merge requests, pull requests, time taken to, complete a merge and so on. So these are things that are specific to a developer, and what he can basically use these insights to actually improve some of his processes and so on. Just please note that this is not something that we provide, as a big brother watching you kind of thing. It's more for individuals to actually figure out, where they can improve on processes and where the organization can get more out of something as well. And then, if you are basically a QA person, then there's a whole lot of, quality metrics that are important for you, right? So things like test results, test summaries, automation of tests, and so on. You can get metrics specific to that. Another key insight is, Dora metrics, right? So everyone's talking about Dora. It's very popular in the industry. And Dora allows you to basically measure your performance, right? So it's great having DevOps processes, but if you're not able to measure those, how your DevOps teams are performing, how your DevOps processes is performing, it doesn't help you to be able to, improve that. And so Dora is a great way to see, where there's room for improvement and those kind of things. And then some of the other KPIs that's really important for a lot of people are security KPIs, right? So, just being able to identify vulnerabilities in a central spot, being able to, identify when a new piece of code has been added to an application, what vulnerabilities has it introduced and so on. And so being able to quickly identify that, and for all individuals within an organization to be able to get this information is super valuable. And so if you look at, some of the large organizations or enterprises that are adopting the platform approach, we've got, these are some very big organizations that we work with: Honeywell, Norton, LifeLock, City of Hope, Workday, and so on, for example, right? And if you look at Honeywell, they are getting about 65% productivity improvements with the platform, and also they're getting real-time insights as well that's helping them improve. They also are able to get about 85% faster remediation on change requests and those kind of things. And another key part about Honeywell is that they are, they're moving all of their applications into the Opsera platform. And so this includes, the SaaS-based applications like Salesforce, Boomi, AEM, and so on, and then also the on-prem developed applications also. And so with being able to have a single platform, they are also able to reduce the number of tools that they're using. So they went from like about 130 DevOps tools to about 30. And so you can see that this is a huge, cost saving for them, as well as a huge, efficiency improvement for them as well. Norton LifeLock is another customer that's getting about 40% reduction in manual steps that they are able to achieve, and then also a huge reduction in production deployment time. So they're getting something like 50 to 75% reduction in deployment times. City of Hope is another example of, where they are getting about 80% increase in productivity as well. So I know I've said a lot, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you into the product and show you a little bit about, what the platform looks like. How do you, register all of these tools that you have and be able to capture those insights in a, a very efficient way. But before I do that, are there any questions? If you do have any, you can put them in the chat. If not, we can also, we'll have about 5 minutes for questions after I do the following session. I think if there's no questions, I'll just go into the platform and show you what that looks like. And so this is, the Opsera platform, right? And so a platform, when we talk about platform, we are providing you the end-to-end DevOps in a single platform, right? And so we can do things like, tool automation, pipelines, and insights, which is a big part of it. Now, in terms of, if you are coming into, you have a set of DevOps tools that you're using, how do you start capturing those insights, right? And so the first thing that you would have to do is basically register your tools inside of Opsera. And so, as I said, we have about 80 plus integrations with a lot of DevOps tools. And it's a simple way you come in here, register the tool that you have. And the beauty of it is that you don't have to rip and replace what you have, right? So tools that you have in place right now, you can still keep them. You just register them in here so that then once they are registered and you run your pipelines, we are able to start gathering all of that information and data that's valuable, that's going to provide those insights. We also offer you the flexibility to be able to add new tools or provision new tools within Opsera. So you have certain gaps in your DevOps process and you want to add some new features and so on. We can provision a tool for you, and we use best of breed open source tools for that also. And so once those tools are captured in here, you can start running your pipelines, or we can start gathering insights. And so, I've spoken a lot about insights, and so I'll just touch a little bit about that and so we have some time for questions also. But insights, basically, we have this concept of a marketplace where you can come in and define, the kind of KPIs that's important for you and what you want to pull into a dashboard, right? And so we can filter those metrics that are important for you by pipeline, security, source code, development, and so on. But we also give you the flexibility to add, do searches by, a tool name, for example. And so you can get, metrics that are important for something, GitLab specific pipelines, for example. So it's very easy to be able to select the insights that you want or metrics that you want to capture, and then be able to put them into a dashboard. And so let's take a look at some of these sample dashboards that you're able to create, right? So we can, as I said, we have persona-based dashboards. So you can create something like a developer dashboard. And what's important for developers, right? So we spoke about, merge requests, time taken to complete a merge request, commits by project, and so on. And so you can see that, these are things that are, most specific to a developer, but will help him to basically understand what, where there's room for improvement and be able to work on that. And then for executives, right? So what's important for executives? So executives want a high level of what's happening across all projects within an organization. And so you can get things like build and deployment statistics, success rates, and so on across all of your projects. Mean time to resolution, right? So these are really important stats. How many incidents out there, how long it's taking to resolve them, and so on. So once you have this kind of information from an executive level, you can start to make very informed decisions on how to improve the organization and the enterprise as a whole. And so things like, mean time to acknowledge, the SDLC duration statistics. So how long is it taking for things to go all the way to deployment, right? So from build to deployment, what does that look like? How can I improve it? And so on. And so we are able to provide a lot of this information. And as I said, once you have those tools registered in the Opsera platform, we can start gathering all of those insights. And then the insights within Opsera is actionable as well, right? And so it's great having these insights, but how do, if I see something, how can I drill down? And so we give you the option to be able to drill down on certain things. And so you can see here, I've selected, the security scans, right? And so in a single spot, I can come in and see, all the vulnerabilities that I have across all my projects. And so something like this could be really important for a CISO or director of security to see, hey, what is my security posture within all my applications? And so in a single point, he can come in and get all of that information. And so this kind of thing applies to, different people, right? So like the, executives, you can create, release manager dashboards as well. So what's important for release manager. So things like, recent artifacts that have been put into production, all of the different projects. And so what environments are deployed in, the versions and all of those kind of things. So these, as you can see, there's as I said, 150 plus KPIs that we offer. And so you can do a lot of those kind of things as well. And, get very important metrics that can help you to make very informed decisions. And so, I know we have about 5 minutes left, but I'd just like to put this out there, right? So we spoke a lot about the DevOps platform. We spoke a lot about insights. And so what we are offering is a unified insights assessment workshop. And this workshop is basically where you sign up for it. We come in and review your DevOps processes, the tools that you're using, what KPIs are important for you, what gaps are you're looking to fill, and then we can devise a plan and a strategy to basically help you improve your process, help you capture those key metrics and KPIs, and then just help you streamline and improve your whole DevOps process. And so this is something that we can open up. We'll open up to you. I think that a link will be shared, so where you can go and actually sign up for this assessment, and then we can come in and arrange a session with you. And so with that, I know we have about 4 minutes left, and so I'd like to open it up to any questions.
So for any questions, please use the Q&A function, and the link to the assessment workshop will be provided in the summary email together with the recording of this webinar. There's one question, Ruben. Can you see it?
Let me see. No, I don't.
Does Opsera support Bamboo CI tool?
Yes, we do. We do support all of the source code management tools. We support, GitLab, Bamboo, Jenkins. Yes, we do. And as I said, once you have your tools that you have in place, you keep them. It's very easy to basically register them within Opsera, and then once we have that, you can, it's very easy to start running those pipelines and be able to gather metrics and so on as well. Well, if there's no other questions, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. And then, as I said, we'll share a link to this recording, but we'll also have a link to the actual DevOps assessment where you can actually sign up for that. And then we'll contact you and set up schedule a session with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate your time.